back with more Buffy. This is episode 3 of season 6. Very excited to carry on with this season, see what's going to happen. Because Buffy's back from the dead. Don't think she's okay by any means. She's alive, but not okay. Which for now I'll take, but I feel like that's going to be like a long running kind of story for her this season. Kind of getting used to being alive again. You know, is Buffy died, but did Buffy really come back? That's, I think, is the question that maybe this season could pose, which I think could be interesting, and I'm just excited to see where they're going to take the general direction of the season now that Buffy is back. That's kind of been addressed, but are we going to get like big bads? Are we going to get anything more like arc-based in this episode? I really don't know, which is always exciting, and I'm very intrigued by what the season's going to hold, because I really enjoyed the opening kind of story in those first 2 episodes. They were great. So yeah, really excited to see what's going to happen next. Let's get into the next one.
She's just disoriented from being tormented in some hell dimension. Probably tortured. And it's like we don't even know how much time has passed there for her.
We didn't know she was even there.
It's not something you just get over.
You might just be dead.
We're all okay now.
Are we though?
We didn't do much. Knew you were under that dirt somewhere.
Oh god. She looks alive but dead inside, which isn't ideal.
We can sit down and talk. What else is different?
If I've been dead for a little while, I'd want to just keep walking.
Dawn! Dawn! You there?
Oh shit, oh shit.
It's just Spike. Look.
Yeah? Seen the bloody Bob before. Didn't think she'd patch ups.
She's kind of, Spike?
Oh, he smiled then.
Clawed away out of a coffin, that's how. Isn't that right?
Yeah. How long was I gone?
47 days yesterday. 148 today. So today doesn't count, does it?
He kept count. Oh my god.
Where you were.
Longer.
Yeah.
She's here. You're here.
We didn't know where you were.
You ran away. Buffy, are you okay?
Couldn't overload her.
What are you doing out here? I hope you're not going to start your little obsession now that she's around again.
Is he crying?
Willow knew there was a chance that she'd come back wrong. So wrong that she would have to get rid of what came back, and I wouldn't let her.
Oh.
And none of that was Buffy. I wouldn't let her. And that's why she shut me out.
What are you talking about? Willow wouldn't do that.
Oh, is that right?
She didn't tell you the extent of like the snake and stuff.
The thing about magic, there's always consequences.
Yeah.
Always.
He's gonna head back as soon as he can. I'm not sure.
I thought she'd say thanks. I'm grateful. But I'd be a terrible person if I said yes. Give her time.
It's like when she was desperate to make up with Oz after Lover's Walk, like straight away, but he needed time. Oh! Oh, hell. Oh! Shit and piss.
Buffy? What did you do?
Oh,
Do you
no.
know what you did?
You were stained. You still are. I know what you did.
Oh.
All right, Willow, you need to get out of there. Just get everyone out.
Oh, no. Oh!
Wake up Buffy and Dawn. Don't make a big deal. Anya!
Oh, my God.
Xander?
So what are we killing? A demon you brought back from hell with you.
Oh, it's not like she's making it sound. A little haunting type stuff. Too scary. Everything's normal.
And they are kind of assuming she went to hell.
So I just, figured it was me. I was going crazy. Well, maybe you are going crazy. From hell.
Maybe some of us can keep going, finding more, and the others.
I miss Giles.
Oh, he's coming back. I talked to him. I know I'm a kind of poor substitute.
Oh.
Until then.
No, you're not. Oh no! What is going on? Oh, don't blink, Buffy.
You're too young for coffee.
Idiot.
You can have my coffee.
All of you did it.
Oh! Oh boy.
Your hand is hurt.
Yeah, match. It's like a friendship bracelet.
Same to you. You should see the downstairs too, it's quite posh.
And without a Buffy shrine.
The promise. To protect her. If I'd have done that, even if I didn't make it, you wouldn't have had to jump.
Aww.
But I want you to know I did save you. Not when it counted, of course, but after that. Every night after that. I'd see it all again. I'd do something
Spike, you're breaking my heart, man.
Could someone have known?
Willow is a talented witch, and she would never do anything to hurt anyone.
I know, huh? Backing up quickly, hands in the air.
Oh.
It's a demon that we made.
We made a demon?
Oh.
That us.
Its consciousness is here, but its body is caught in the ether between existing and not existing. It doesn't have a body.
Lovely.
If you think you can give her back to me and then take her away again,
No.
Oh,
that's
God.
worse than if you never brought her back.
The only way for it to survive on this plane is if it were to kill the subject of the original spell. It would live if it killed Buffy? That's not gonna...
Thanks for the tip.
Oh, this bloody thing. Oh.
You don't belong here.
Well, neither do you. With your weird icing sugar form.
I could drive faster and I can't drive. She's running like a snail.
It's okay, Donnie. Willow and Tara doing a spell.
You sure it won't send Buffy back?
No, of course not. It's just that she can't fight this thing if it's all Misty's.
With our actions did we make thee.
There's a lot of focus on the spells so far this season.
Thou took motive, with our motions came to pass. We rescind no past devotions. Give thee substance, give thee mass.
You're the one
So you then can kick its ass.
Take Dawn out of here.
Child of
There we go,
words,
she's concerned about
hear
Dawn.
thy makers.
That's progress.
Child of words, we entreat. Solid.
Oh. Yeah. Hooray.
You okay? Going to start charging money for every person that asks me that. Everyone's been doing that, huh? A little bit. It's because they care about you a lot. When you were gone, it was bad when you were gone.
Since you've been
But it'll
gone.
be better now. Now that they can see you being happy.
Yeah, she's thrilled. Look
That's
at
all I
her.
want.
Look at that big smile.
Thank you.
Hmm.
You guys gave me the world. I can't
Oh.
tell you what it means to me.
I was gonna go inside, but I overheard you and the Super Friends exchanging a special moment. A bit queasy.
Just wanted a little time alone.
Oh, right then.
It's okay. I can be alone with you here.
Thanks ever so.
Mm.
If you're in pain, or if you need anything, or if I can do anything for you.
You can. I was happy.
Oh,
At peace.
fuck.
I knew that everyone I cared about was all right. And I was finished. complete.
Shit.
But I think I was in heaven. And now I'm not.
Oh my god.
I was torn out of there. Pulled out by my friends.
That's horrible. Oh.
Everything here is hard. This is hell. Just getting through the next moment. And the one after that. Knowing what I've lost. I can never know. Never.
Oh my god. That is horrendous. Okay, really great episode. I love that one a lot. That ending was, whew, that got heavy. Suppose we could just talk about that first, why not? Because, man, that is quite something. I think Buffy's journey this season is going to be kind of dealing and making peace with that, or hoping to try and find peace. Finding peace again, I guess, since that's what she kind of had previously, and that peace and acceptance has been taken away from her by the people closest to her. I imagine that must be awful to deal with. I can't even imagine that, like being in heaven and then you're just not. So it is hell, just living. I mean, like she told Dawn, you know, the hardest thing in this world is to live in it. That was one of the last things she ever said. And now she's being forced to live in it all over again, against her will. Yeah, that was dark. That was heavy. I can't even imagine what that feeling would be like. I think it's a fascinating idea, a fascinating story, even though it's heartbreaking for Buffy, and to see her go through all that. But hopefully she can come to terms with it somehow, or find some way to live, not just exist again. Hopefully when Giles comes back, that might help. I'm sure he'll have something good to say to her that might help her get through that. That was kind of my worst fear as the episode was going on. I was like, they're drawing so much attention to the fact that she was in hell. They're like, oh yeah, when you were in hell, blah, 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 blah. And I was just thinking, like, what if she wasn't? What if... I was like, well... I was more thinking along the lines that, you know, if you're dead, there's just nothing. You know, so that's still kind of peace in a way. But the fact that she was in heaven, or at least what she considered to be heaven, and she was happy and at peace. Ugh. You know, she was so happy that everyone she loved was okay. And she was brought back and instantly, you know, everyone wasn't okay except being haunted by this demon that they made, which was another really interesting idea. I loved the idea that, you know, when they did that spell, they made this demon. I thought that was fairly interesting. I think the design of it maybe left a lot to be desired for me. It just wasn't quite to my taste, just the all white kind of thing. I get what they were going for, because, you know, it didn't really have like a form of its own, so it makes sense. It was just like this like plain white being, but yeah, just I guess it wasn't my favourite design we've had, but I suppose that shouldn't be anything to knock against it for the most part. It did what it needed to do. It was something to be punched and have his head cut off, so there you go. But yeah, just this whole idea of Buffy being, I keep thinking of Locked Out of Heaven by Bruno Mars. That's the theme of this season. Locked Out of Heaven by Bruno Mars. That should be the new theme tune. But I think that's going to be a very interesting journey to see kind of Buffy accept that. It's a TV show, so I think, of course, everyone's going to find out that she was in heaven, not just going to be a thing between her and Spike. So I think their reactions to that, I think, are going to be quite something. Especially Willow. I think she's going to feel the weight of that choice, especially because that last scene when she was like thanking them. You could just see in her eyes, I think, that she didn't mean it. And I think that's down to Michelle Gellar being so good. But what Willow was saying earlier in the episode, you know, that's kind of what she wanted from Buffy, to get a thank you. I think that's all she really saw, and maybe didn't read too much into it beyond that, like she did in the last episode when she like knew that this was the real Buffy who was back, not the Buffy bot. She's very observant in that, but not with this, and I think that's because it was her spell, and it could have been like a negative thing about her spell if Buffy hadn't thanked her for it. So I don't think she latched onto that as much as, oh, my spell worked, Buffy's back, and this is the real Buffy, which she was very focused on in the last one. So I think that might be quite gut-wrenching for Willow when she realises the extent of what she's done with that spell. But I do enjoy the focus on the magic so far this season. We've seen Willow and Tara kind of do a lot of different spells and use different abilities and stuff like that. Tara using that light thing to guide Willow and Xander back. She even like shot a demon off the bike or something like that when she saved Anya. So I like that kind of focus. There seems to be a lot of magic going on so far. And obviously the consequences of the magic, which was an interesting thing to explore as well. It's a big thing in Once Upon a Time. Magic always comes with a price, it's what they always say. So it's kind of cool to see that play out here as well. And what Spike was kind of saying about magic having consequences was really interesting. And to see those consequences manifest in the demon that they created, I really liked that idea. I thought that was very clever. And yeah, some really creepy imagery with that, just like the white eyes. An interesting contrast to when Willow's eyes went all black when she did that spell, and it's like, I don't think they really touched on that. When Tara and Willow were doing that spell, then it seemed like Willow just kind of took over completely. They kind of just glossed over that, which is interesting. But I think they've kind of put it out many times that Willow's kind of the more powerful of the two. But I don't know if that was a case of, is she more powerful so she could just do it all on her own and it stopped Tara from doing it, or locked her out of the spell for some reason, or it was kind of maybe Willow was subconsciously like, I want to do this spell by myself, I want to be the one who does this. Kind of like how she kind of got all the credit mainly for the spell that brought Buffy back. I don't know if that's a similar kind of thing. I don't think it was like selfishly that would be how it worked out. I think maybe subconsciously she was thinking about that. I don't know. But it's interesting. I think there's a lot of, already 3 episodes into this season, I feel like there were so many points of contention that you could really debate. And there's so many different interpretations. That's something that's instantly struck me about this season that I'm finding very, very interesting. I think you can read so many different things in so many different ways, even more so than I think we've ever seen before. And yeah, just the whole idea of what's happened to Buffy is just so horrendous. And it's kind of like she's being tortured just by being brought back to life. And yeah, I think there could be some resentment building up with that, maybe. We saw that with like the Buffy vision that the demon created. There was kind of some resentment there, saying they didn't understand what they really did. It's kind of interesting that the demon they created seemed to have a better understanding of what was happening to Buffy than her own friends did. And I think Spike even picked up on a few things and saw just how much she wasn't okay. So that was all very interesting. Like people, like even if they're like part demon or vampires with the demons in them, they seem to be more aware of what's happening with Buffy. I guess that makes sense. I think there's a certain logic to that. I did really find it. Oh, I just activated Siri on my iPad. But damn, I lost my train of thought. Thanks, iPad. Oh yeah, I found it really interesting that Buffy seems to be able to connect with Spike a lot more than anyone else. And she like go to him and purposely seek him out. Because it's probably easy to find isolation with Spike around, because a lot of people don't want to spend any time with Spike. And I think Spike did kind of feel like the outcast in this episode as well, which is another interesting theme. And as he was talking to Xander about, I loved that scene where you could see he'd been crying by the tree. Spike was great in this episode. I really liked him a lot. And he was kind of saying, the idea that Willow purposefully didn't tell him about the spell because if she'd have to kill whatever was made if it didn't go right, he'd stop her. I thought that was very interesting. I love that idea that Willow... I mean, we saw earlier in the season, Willow withheld the gruesome details of what the spell would do to her, and she kept that from Xander because he'd probably stopped her from doing it. We've seen that, and that seed of doubt that was planted in Xander, and then he asked Tara about it. I think there's definitely going to be more to that, which could be interesting. I really like that idea, that maybe magic is kind of a disease, you know, there aren't just consequences to it. I think it could be like an addiction. And we've certainly seen Willow succumb to that spell, kind of, you know, instant spell, many occasions. Like with the whole Oz and Veruca thing, she instantly went to do a spell. She was going to do a spell to make Xander not attracted to her anymore, and not tell him about it. Many occasions, and you know, that kind of reliance on that has grown and grown. And that's why I really appreciated the little bit where they showed that Willow had like some computer stuff set up on the table. I really liked that, because that's just kind of a reminder of the Willow that was. And that she still does kind of have that techie aspect to her, even though that doesn't really dominate her character anymore. It's nice that that aspect of her is still there, so I really appreciate that. But I think that's a fascinating idea they could play with the whole Willow magic thing. So I think Tara she's not as powerful, but I think that might be a good thing, because it hasn't really consumed her. And we saw Willow before, she was going to help Dawn bring Joyce back. She like pointed her in the right direction with that book. You know, her attack on Glory after Tara got all... she's kind of a real force to be reckoned with at times. And I think there might be like... I don't know, I think there's another side to Willow almost being revealed with this magic. I think starting magic has kind of created like another side to her personality in a weird way. Not like it doesn't dominate her. I don't think, you know, she's not maliciously or purposefully doing that. I don't think she sees herself as the way Spike kind of saw why he got cut out of the spell. I don't think Willow would see it that way at all. And I don't think she's kind of being malicious in any of her actions, necessarily. But I think that's a very interesting conversation to have, basically. That, and the whole thing with what's happened to Buffy. I think they're the two real talking points of the episode for me. That on top of the idea of them making their own demon. I really liked that idea. And yeah, just the visuals with like the white eyes and Anya like cutting her face. It reminded me a lot of Restless, with the first Slayer like cutting Giles like to get his brain out. It reminded me a lot of that imagery. And yeah, like the vision of Buffy that Willow and Tara saw, the fact that, you know, it's kind of all like in shadow, I thought that was really nice. Some great directing in this episode. I think it looked really great. And yeah, I just loved Dawn in the initial part of the episode. She was kind of like, guys, back off, you know. She knew she was kind of being overloaded with stuff. It's kind of a shame she almost lost that kind of element of it later on. But, you know, I think she's pretty distracted by the fact that her sister's back from the dead. I'd be kind of bloody over the moon as well, and ignorant to maybe some other problems. I mean, even in the world today, you know, so many of the people you know in your life are probably like secretly suffering with some horrible, horrible shit, and you just don't know, and you're so oblivious to it. So I think that's actually very realistic. And I like that they're kind of going there with that this season so far. So yeah, I really liked Dawn kind of being like, guys, you need to just give us some space, take some time. And yeah, the fact that Buffy was kind of talking about, I was happy because all my friends, I knew all the people I loved were okay. And she kind of gave them what they wanted when she said thank you for like bringing her back, because she knew that's what they wanted to hear. So she's still fighting to make her friends happy, even if she's not. The fact that she confessed that to Spike, even at the end, she kind of caught herself out there at the end. She's like, oh my god, I've shared way too much here, and then left. But just kind of interesting that she divulged all that to Spike. Probably because she knows of his kind of disconnection to most of the Scoobies, so he's unlikely to exactly open up to them that much. Although, you know, they might have gone a bit closer in Buffy's absence, we'll have to wait and see. But I loved Spike in this episode a lot. The fact that he knew how many days she'd been dead. He understood that she dug herself out because he'd been through it as well. He's being quite gentle with her, giving her time. You know, when everyone kind of burst in, he walked out straight away, you know, because I think he kind of knew that she'd have been overloaded. That final scene, you know, when she wanted space, he was going to leave, but, you know, he would have got a bit cooked. in the sun. He was very kind of oversensitive for Spike, I guess, towards Buffy's feelings, and overjoyed that she was back at the same time, because he couldn't tell Xander it wasn't the best moment of his life seeing her alive. So I loved that side of Spike. But at the end of the day, there's also the reason the Buffy bot existed in the first place, and there's the Buffy Shrine. So I'm trying to ground my adoration for this Spike when we see him like this. Because yeah, that's kind of an essence of his character as well that I can't ignore. I don't want to be biased to that as much as I love Spike and love the character. But yeah, some really interesting stuff, just seeing everyone kind of deal with Buffy being back. And I do wish we'd seen Giles hear that she was back, you know, just like a cameo or something. I saw the credits for this episode. I know Anthony's head isn't a main cast member anymore, which I didn't expect. I thought he was a main cast member for the entire run, but apparently not. Kind of sucks, but I get it. I get there's like behind the scenes stuff and family stuff and all that, so it is what it is. But I would have loved, I felt a bit robbed that we didn't get to see that. Because of all the people I wanted to see realise that Buffy was still alive and find that out, it was Giles. So it's kind of sad that it's kind of an off-screen thing, but I think it's still going to be joyous when he does show up again, whenever that may be, and actually get to see her for the first time again in flesh. But yeah, really, really great episode. I loved everything that kind of explored and all these different ideas about, you know, Buffy being in heaven, now she's brought back. It's kind of ripped out from there. The idea of them making a demon and the way that kind of haunted them to try and find its own body, I really liked that. Like going undercover, you couldn't exactly trust who was possessed at any one time. I really liked that idea. I loved Spike and everything with that, and the way he was very tentative with her and she opened up to him. And the idea of Willow kind of withholding stuff, potentially. We don't know for sure that was what she was doing. And just to focus on the magic elements, I've really enjoyed as well this season so far. And yeah, just another great episode. I just love the little touches, like Buffy going straight to Joyce's room and the picture of Joyce they had in the living room, stuff like that. Yeah, I just feel so bad for Buffy right now. That's just heartbreaking that she's had to go through that, and I don't know how she's going to deal with it, if she can. Hopefully she can find a way. I feel like that could be like her journey this season. Because, you know, at first when she was back, you know, Dawn was like, oh, I'm fine, I'll be fine, you know, but Buffy hadn't really questioned Dawn's safety. But then later on in the episode she did. She was like, get Dawn out of here and get her to be safe. So I think there are elements of the Buffy we know and love coming back. I think it's just going to take time. And I'm more than willing to give it that time, especially because there's still 19 episodes of this season. But yeah, great episode. Really, really love this one a lot. And I'm looking forward to seeing where they're going to take all these things for this season. I have a feeling I'm really going to like this season. I know it's kind of split the fandom a bit from what I hear. But if it continues doing like really interesting stuff like this, or at least I find it interesting, I think I could really enjoy what this season might do. But again, I'm not going to say that for definite because I've barely scratched the surface of this season. But so far, I'm really, really enjoying it. And this episode was no exception to that. I really loved what they kind of were exploring. So yeah, fantastic episode. Can't wait for more. And until next reaction, thanks for watching.